Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Mr. I'm Offended, and today I'm trying something a little different. I think I'm going to start a new series called Monday Morning Magic, and it's just going to be a space where I can talk about my other obsession, which is Magic the Gathering. Today I've got my Yarok landfall deck pulled up, and I think we're going to just kind of do a deck profile. It is mostly focused on landfall, and Yarok's ability by itself doubles the landfall triggers. Or I guess doesn't double it, but adds an additional. And so the whole deck is kind of built around that concept. Everything is play an additional land this turn and deal damage off of it. Landfall. Whenever a land enters, put a loyalty counter on. Do stuff with those landfall triggers. Doubled. This one's just land mana fixing. And also play lands from graveyard. Let's see, Iesi, obviously, additional land on each turn, draw a card, which is fantastic because I think this might be my only card draw engine in the deck. Good, bad, whatever. Enters mill 3. So this is to put more lands in grave, hopefully, and use other cards to return them later. Green Warden, again, an additional landfall trigger, so now we've got, on each land entering, I get 3 landfall triggers. Like 2 additional lands on turn. Bristly Bill is an obvious add. More landfall, and then double, which double the amount of 1/1s on each creature you control comes into play with the actual win cons later. Desecrated Finks. Sorry, I have a second card draw engine. Land card, put in the hand, more land shenanigans. Even more land shenanigans. Kitten was put in for ETB things, for other creatures, because I think I have a couple. That might be a pullout. I'm not sure. Additional lands. We're at 4, I believe. Gain life off a landfall. Tap opponent's creatures. This is just like sort of counterspell / removal. Don't really use it as a 7/8. It's just, yeah, return spell. More landfall, gain life. Is more of land entering things, permanent enters, lands count. If it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, put a permanent card with equal or lesser to, and lands have equal mana 0 to other lands 0. Loot, more additional lands, and kind of just getting to the win cons, which you'll see it as soon as it comes up. More landfall, mana. This is a fantastic ability and gets the win most of the time. Here's the win con. And Mossborn Hydra, at certain points you can get up to like 12 actual landfalls happening on a turn. 36, therefore, landfall triggers happening on a turn. You can make this stupid. Combined with Lotus Cobra, getting all that extra mana, and then paying into, where is it? Bristly Bill to double it more. I have gotten Mossborn Hydra up to absolutely stupid numbers. E on the calculator numbers. Next bloom, just mana, more mana, huge mana at the end of the game. More lands, like what, 4 lands on each turn. Graveyard. Now this is for the sack lands, because I run every color sack land that I possibly can. Mire, even things like Evolving Wilds, and then 24 basics. So a lot of my sacks are often in grave, and this gets me them back however many times I can play them for turn. More graveyard, more landfall, gain control. This one's mean. This has won me games without even having my win cons on. Just steal everyone's stuff, and it's mine now. And it's just, as long as you control Royal Elemental, is nasty. This is the other win con. Obviously Scoot Storm gets stupid. Imagine Scoot Storm with 36 landfall triggers happening on a turn. Stupid numbers. Tatiova, landfall, gain life, draw card. Lots of draw. I guess I had a lot more card draw than I thought. Gitrog monster, mostly for the additional lands on each of your turns. I don't really use it for the other stuff. Oh, sacklands. Which I can sacrifice any land to, which is really nice because certain lands that I have entered the battlefield triggers. Tireless, Create a Treasure, obviously. I'm not looking to make food in this deck, although it can help if I'm out of life. Additional land, more additional land. I don't really care about City's Blessing. This thing isn't an attacker. It's a sit there on the field and give me that additional land. This is great, especially if I put all of my sacks in grave. I can play all my lands on my turn, sack them, get all the new landfall triggers, make this thing die to a dozen different things that I have that can sacrifice creatures, get all those sack lands back, and get up to 24 initial landfall triggers. And let's see, 2 additional triggers, so that would be 72 landfall triggers per turn. So just that many Scoot Storm triggers, Mossborn Hydra triggers, stupid numbers. And here we're getting into sorceries. So this is my proliferate package, I guess, which doesn't really help except for a couple of the planeswalkers. And draw cards, always nice. Explore, additional land per turn, draw card, great. Or, this is the important part, you may play 2 additional lands, which is crazy. And I can do both if I also pay 6 for it. Scale the Heights, put a 1/1 counter and gain 2 life, play an additional land this turn. Basically this whole deck is play additional lands, sack them, play more lands. Splendid Reclamation, get all those sacks back from grave, sack them again, more landfall triggers. 3 additional lands this turn, great card, love this. 3 landfall triggers for 2 mana. Draw 3 cards, play an additional land. I think you get the idea. Into Instance, the one real straight up counter spell that I have. I mean, then proliferate, but the one thing that just says counter target spell. Hexproof and Indestructible, which is for my Mossborn. Mostly, because a bajillion with trample is crazy, and oftentimes the target of removal. Draw 2 cards, great. Landfall, draw 3, just more card draw, more graveyard. This is also great for anything else that gets sent to grave. If Mossborn Hydra gets popped, I can get it back. More playlands from grave. See, I also have a couple cards like this where it's a little group huggy. Each player plays an additional land. And no cards, player draws 3. Mostly that's for me. Wind up playing a lot of cards in this deck. Like, even a good game that was a good win, I'm still sitting there at half of my library left. Ichamore Gauntlet. This is the actual kind of cheesed win con. This put on Nissa. So I can get all of my landfall triggers, 2 additional triggers for each land, putting loads of loyalty counters on Nissa. And then using Ichamore Gauntlet to take an extra turn. This one gets absurd. This is like, I don't think I've even used this to win a game really, but it's there in case it gets to that place where I just need a couple extra turns. More landfall, pay 2, draw a card. This one's great because at a certain point I can just put 2 lands in and then draw a card. And if I'm able to put more lands on the field than that, a lot of times I can draw a card. I mean, I have, what, 24 basics and, what, 43, 48 just lands. Soul Ring, obviously, every deck. Let's see, Sword of the Animus gets me a basic land whenever I attack, which, especially early game, a 2-drop, is really, really nice. Enchantments, now we're into play an additional land. Scry 1 for each landfall, which is great. You can check the top deck, which I have other things that say play with the top deck revealed, or you can look at the top deck and play lands from it. This is great to manipulate the top deck. Each player draws an additional card and plays an additional land. It's one of those cards that does me a lot of good because of the landfall thing, but also helps everyone else so nobody takes care of it. But it does me more value than you. Struggle. This is the last card draw engine, I believe. More playlands from grave, which is great. I don't ever use the second part of the door. Now we're in a lands. Oh, also, ignore the price. I don't own these. It's proxies. Bayou. I've got all 3 of the dual lands that work in Sultai colors, and all of the sack lands that can be put into Sultai colors. Breeding Pool, Shocks, Command Tower just for anything early, duels, sacks, sack, 8 of each basic, and I play 8 of each just because the actual CMC of the deck is pretty spread out. Everything's pretty even. I don't have one color that's like drastically higher than the other. Guys, this is for Scootsworn. Get a ton of Scootsworn copies, be able to make basically a ton of mana. More, I think I might get rid of the Guild Gates and add in more basic land. I think this might be the last one in the deck, but that might have to go. Islands. Lotus Field, this is just cycling lands from grave. If I have a ran out, I can get rid of 2 and play 2 more. Lotus Vale, same concept. I can get rid of lands and then play them from grave again. Sack, sack, duels. Again, I might be getting rid of Morphic Pool. I might be getting rid of all these duels and just doing basic. I might even get rid of the shocks and play basics. Sack. More kind of weird rules duels. I like the 2 or more opponents one, especially for Commander. But I seem to get more value just off of basic lands. Reliquary Tower, that's for if card draw gets going a little crazy. More sacks, swamp, tropical island, and underground sea to round it out. Like I said, ignore the price. These are proxies. I don't own these cards. Well, I own a couple of them. I have this of Bristly Built, and I have this Westborn Hydra. I don't think I have any of these other cards. Well, a couple of them maybe, but... So this deck is a really fun one to play and gets a little absurd with Mossborn Hydra and Scootsworm going. Especially if I can get that like 20, 30, 75 landfall triggers on one turn. Then it gets really, really stupid. Because like, imagine just 12 landfalls. I can drop 12 lands on a turn from grave. So I can play all, whatever, 6 of my sacks twice, 12 landfalls after sacking them, and then I can bring all of my lands back with World Shaper, and then I can do it again with Splendid Reclamation. So let's see, that would be 1224 from the landfall and then the sack landfall. And then I can bring all 6 back again. So 30, sack them, 36 landfalls, and then bring them back again, 42, 48 landfalls. And then I can have that trigger happen an additional time, so 96, and then I can have that trigger happen an additional time. So absolutely maxed out. Let's see, where's it? Ancient Green One. Absolutely maxed out. I can be getting 144 triggers on each turn. So just double the power 144 times. Humongous number. Double scoot on each turn 144 times. Stupid numbers. Stupid, stupid, stupid numbers. But this one's fun. I love this deck. This one, it was the first deck that I ever built that I like truly built from scratch, and I still do it a lot where instead of starting a deck from absolute scratch and adding every single land and every single card and every single thing, I will usually go find a deck in the search. By the way, not sponsored, but Moxfield is my favorite deck building website. But I will search a deck that is close to what I want, and then I'll cycle in the cards that I want and make it mine. Put in my pet cards, put in the things that I think will make it actually better. And then I'll go make the proxy deck. Which, by the way, I play with tons of proxies. I have tons of proxy decks because I can't realistically afford this game. I can't afford $36,000 for a random deck I built on a Tuesday afternoon. That's absurd. So I play proxies. Every card in this deck is fake, except I think Moxford Hydra. But I think that'll do it for today. Thank you for watching the first of hopefully many Monday Morning Magics. I think I'm going to have this series come out Monday mornings at 8 a.m. And y'all have a great week, and thanks for watching. Bye.